And a lot of you probably remember the message to the whales and the dolphins that was going around, a video that was done by Sierra. She has a YouTube channel, which is I am Sierra. And her message to the dolphin and whales video, I actually looked it up this morning, but the last I looked it was had about 65,000 views. And
we played the audio to that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, and we were all moved by that, and I was. So in the meantime, I contacted her and did an interview with her. I guess it's been 2 weeks ago, where they were just getting close to stopping the oil gushing out, I believe. But it doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. It's a timeless message. So I contacted her and did an interview with her, and I'd like to share that with you because it's totally appropriate and a reminder of where we are and the blessing in this, and that everything is perfect and will continue to be perfect. And Sierra is quite a fascinating woman. I'm sure you will appreciate listening to and learning more about her. If I can find my page here. Here we go. So I'd like to introduce you to Sierra Goodman. Enjoy, and we'll be back in a little bit. Here you go. Featuring Sierra Goodman. I became aware of Sierra when a YouTube video came to my attention, and it's titled Gulf of Mexico Oil Spill, a message from the Dolphins and Whales. And I was very moved by the message and in agreement with the message. And when I went and researched Sierra, I found out that she has done and contributed to some very fascinating things, including a major weight loss success that she'll share with us. And she also puts together wild whale and dolphin encounters and just so many things. But I'm going to start off with playing this 6-minute audio from her Gulf of Mexico oil spill, a message from the dolphin and whales. And I want to quickly tell you that her YouTube channel is I am Sierra. That's I-A-M Sierra, where you can find also her other videos and other things that she's up to. And at the point of playing this, her views are up over 60,000 on this particular video/audio, and I wanted to share it with you.
For weeks now, I have watched the disaster in the Gulf of Mexico get worse and worse. I kept trying to stay in joy in my all-is-well beliefs, seeing things through the eyes of Source. But as I saw my beloved ocean, dolphins, whales, sea turtle, and the coast get covered in an ever-increasing oil slick, I felt my thoughts turn into a black, oily, suffocating mess. Finally yesterday, I let it all out. I allowed myself to get really angry. I cried on and off all morning. I felt powerless. I felt the pain and anguish and frustration. I let it flow. And thanks to my friends, I began to find better feeling thoughts. Even through my darkest anger, I was able to see and feel the higher part of me, the part that knows that all is well, but I couldn't quite close that gap between us. By the end of the day, I felt much better, and the gap was quickly closing. This morning, I saw the message coming through from the dolphins and whales, so I sat down to listen. I started off by asking them, I believe I am the creator of my reality, so tell me, how did I create this? The following is the answer that they gave me. They asked me to share it with all of you and told me that through this video, they would be sending waves of love to all who watch and listen. Our dearest Sierra, you asked for this when you asked for alternative energy and to clean up the political arena. Do you think it could happen without a major event like this? The asking was so big, so strong, and from so many, that only a big event like this could answer the asking. We love you all so much, and we will be fine. Our species will continue. You cry for our bodies, but you know that you can connect with us telepathically anytime. And they are just that, bodies, are vessels in the physical. And while we know you and others like to see us in the physical, our non-physical connection is even stronger, and our species will survive. We will come back in even greater numbers in the new world. And the ocean will come back, new and better than before, like a forest after a forest fire. When the smoke clears, new life will appear. Yes, things will never be the same. They will be different. It will be a constant reminder of what you never want to go back to. The power of change lies with the American consumer, the buyers. Do not forget that the powers that be are dependent on you and your buying dollar. You and your friends are really the ones with the power. It is an illusion that it is any other way. They just want you to believe that. You must demand alternatives, and you can do that with the power and energy of money. This really is a case of putting your money where your mouth is. And the people will come together like never before. You will see. Yes, many of us will die. There will be much more than now, and this is going to get worse. But you know that there is no death. We are eternal. We know this is for a higher good. We understand. And many of us are already on the move to other places. The word is out through the Cetacean Communication Network, our very own CNN. We have lived here long before the humans, and they cannot destroy us. We have safe havens to go where they will never find us. We applaud you, Sierra, for allowing yourself to get angry. As our friend Joe Noonan said yesterday, anger is good to clean out the pipes. Do you see what a clear channel you are now that you have acknowledged your feelings of anger, let them run through, and move past them? And this event is going to cause a lot of anger, and it is very good, as it is through the anger that the change will come. It is through the anger that new desires are born. Do not doubt the power of creation. Do not doubt the power of many focusing together for a common goal. Do you see how through your tears and getting really mad you sent out all the rockets of desire for something new? Do you see how through the passion of so many, the anger, the frustration, and a powerful desire for a new world is being asked for in a very powerful way? This is the power of creation at work. Through the catastrophe comes the powerful new desires, the creation of something new. It was time. It is time. This is what you've been waiting for. A new world. The time is now. You must not focus on the dead and dying bodies. This is focusing on the problem and focusing on what that will bring more of it. We know this is very hard for you and that you and your friends love us, and we love you. But you must focus on what this catastrophe caused you to desire. You must focus on the solutions. You must focus on alternative energy and on transparent politics and a new world order of the very best kind. You all have been asking for this for so long. Can't you see? This is what you've been waiting for. A new world awaits. What do you want to see in your new world? Therein lies the focus. We love you. We love you all, and all is well.
As I said, I really feel that that's a very powerful message, and if you want to hear it again, go to I am Sierra, and you can also find her other inspirational videos. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Sierra Goodman. Hello, Sierra. How are you?
I'm great, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm perfect, thank you, and I looked forward to having the opportunity to speak with you.
Oh, me too. I'm really honored that you invited me to be on your program.
Well, when I listened to your message to the dolphin in Wales, it was very moving, and at this point it's just about at 60,000 views. And so congratulations. A lot of people obviously have resonated really strongly with that message as we are dealing with this situation.
Yeah, when I first got the message, I just wrote it out. And the Dolphins in Wales were really strong about it, and they put this YouTube video into my mind, and told me there would be over 100,000 views. And I said, okay, my weight loss one that's been up for a year is like at 65,000. But, in just a month, it's well on its way there. And, they told me it was going to be really, really big. And it's been translated into 5 languages now. And it's bigger than I even thought it was going to be.
Well, it's a very important message, that's for sure. And I have my own connection with the dolphins and whales in the ocean, and had my opportunity to go commune with them about a week ago or so. And they're doing okay. They're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, they see the higher picture, the broader perspective, and that doesn't mean they enjoy being smothered by oil. There's the physical and the non-physical, and obviously they're more in touch with the non-physical than a lot of humans are. But yeah, they're doing okay, and they understand like they said in the message, they understand the bigger picture, and they love us so much and are willing to let this happen so that we can get off our dependence of oil and move. We asked for this, and it had to be this big for change to come about.
Yes, and I actually had a download. I did my own YouTube video about the situation, and ultimately the message that became very loud and clear to me is that the opportunity in all of this is for us to move away from dirty energy and move into clean energy. And there are many people who haven't really thought about it that are now thinking about it, and that's lovely.
It's a beautiful thing. And and like I said, and like the dolphins and whales said, it had to be this big. If it had stopped after a week or two, we wouldn't probably still be talking about it. And this is something that will affect millions of people and affect the Gulf for many, many years. And, hopefully it stays in people's minds. And I think people that hadn't been thinking about their oil consumption, people think about driving cars, but it's plastic bags and plastic bottles and, so many petroleum products. It's made people to think, and that is the good thing that will come out of this, a major move towards sustainable, renewable, green energy, because, the technology's out there and has been for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So now the pressure's on, it's in people's awareness.
And the other aspect of it also is not just has the technology been out there for many years, but from the beginning of the automobile, there were varying options, one of them being electric cars. Actually, one of the first cars was electric. However, that still requires electricity, obviously. And in my research over the last couple of months, looking into things that had been in my awareness for years, one of them is actually a water engine that exists, and something I've known about for 30 years, and with the internet, and I started going back to look into that. It was something that I hadn't researched. There's tons of information about, especially a man by the name of Stanley Mayer, who had a prototype automobile. And one of the things that I just learned recently, because a documentary that's titled Fuel, which I recommend people searching, you can find it on Hulu and watch the whole documentary. Absolutely fabulous history of our use of petroleum and petroleum products, etc. And I couldn't recommend a documentary more highly. But one of the things I learned in that for the first time is that back in the beginning of cars, Ford actually had an engine that ran dually on ethanol and on gasoline, because back in the beginning days there weren't gasoline stations everywhere, obviously, and they were using ethanol. And apparently, according to the research in this documentary, and I also had the opportunity to follow it up myself, I learned that one of the real reasons around prohibition in the 1920s was because the Rockefellers, who were in charge of big oil business, they were very instrumental in litigation around prohibition because they didn't want the competition of the ethanol versus the gasoline. And that was a new piece that I didn't know before.
Right. You know, it's very interesting, and the whole history is interesting, and, you know, all the things that have been suppressed, and, you know, I know you know about, you know, crazy stories of people with inventions, you know, getting killed and all that, and you could really get get lost in that whole mindset. But I think, you know, it's kind of time to maybe not forget, but to go forward from there, you know, and let go of what has happened and what's been suppressed, and focus on what we can do about it now.
Absolutely.
You know, keep our focus on what it is that we want. What do we want to have happen?
Key point. I'm talking with Sierra. Real quickly, I'll mention this website again. It is iam-iam-iam.com.
Right.
And
that's the weight loss one.
And she also has another one, which is divinedolphin.com, which we'll come back and talk about that in a minute. But anyway, as far as focusing on what we are capable of doing is a key aspect of all of this. Instead of pointing fingers and blaming, we need to recognize that we all participated in this. And I was thinking about that. You know, I imagine there are a couple of indigenous cultures that probably have no claim to it, but most of the population of the world has contributed by being in the world and using what has been here. So now is our opportunity to focus on how we can make this never happen again and move into a cleaner, sustainable place that we want to move into.
Well, absolutely. You know, every single one of us who drives a car and uses petroleum products has responsibility in this, you know, and I see a lot of hate BP groups, you know, and if you think about the collective consciousness and what you're contributing to that, and I do completely understand the anger because I've had my hate BP days too, but really they're just a pawn in the big story that we've all created, you know, and sending hate energy towards BP is not contributing to the solution, because really we need to empower them at this point. We need them to be empowered to clean this up. And, you know, so I think staying stuck in the blame and the hate isn't really where you want to stay. I mean, you can have your day like I did, you know, and get it out. You know, let yourself feel it, but then move on from there to something that is an inspired action, you know, into something that is useful and beneficial.
Right, and also focusing on the dirty energy side and you know, and what it's done and how it's been put into our lives essentially, but to focus on our ability to move into a clean energy world will do far better in focusing on what you can do and what we are capable of doing than, I hate to, it's a pun, but instead of fueling the fire, we need to focus on what we can create anew.
Exactly. I mean, you get what you focus on. You know, whenever there's a disaster, you know, an environmental disaster or, you know, a supposed disaster in your life, that's, you know, you look at the disaster and then you go, what did this cause me to want? And then you focus on that, because staying focused on the disaster keeps you in the disaster. You know, the idea, I always say, you know, you go, oh, shoot, and then you go, oh, shift, you know. That's not exactly what I said, but I wasn't sure if I could curse on your show. You know, it's you know, looking at what anything, a disaster in your life causes you to want, and then focusing on that, because we're powerful creators. We're powerful creators, and our focus and our thought process creates. So, you focus on what you want to create and not stay stuck in the disaster.
Right, absolutely. And in the second piece of the interview, we're going to get into Sierra's story of major weight loss. But before we'll do that in the second part of the interview, I just want to mention that because that ties in very importantly on what you have learned and how you've learned to focus on what you want to create versus what you don't want to have.
Right.
But before we do that, I want to make sure I discuss the DivineDolphin.com, where Sierra works and sets up encounters with wild whales and dolphins. So how long have you been doing that?
I've always loved dolphins and whales my whole life, but my first actual time to get in the water with them was June of 1997. And it completely changed my life. I knew I had come home. So it's actually a kind of funny story. I was working as a paralegal at the time in Santa Cruz, California, and I knew I needed to go back. I knew this is what I needed to do. So I contacted one of the captains that I had met out there, and I started the Divine Dolphin and put the website up. And it turned out, like in 6 months from then, I was going to have almost 6 weeks in a row of dolphin trips. So I didn't know what I would do after that, but I went into work and I said, look, in 6 months, next May or whatever it was, I'm going to be gone for 6 months, so I'm giving you notice now, 6 months notice, so they can replace me. And that night, I went home, and the captain called me, and he goes, hey, you know what, Sierra, why don't you move out here to Florida and be my assistant in the Bahamas? And I was like, yes! So I went into the work the next day and said, I'm out of here in 2 weeks or less. So I had to kind of rescind my 6-month notice, and it turned into like a week and a half, But they were actually really empowered women, and they supported me in following my dream.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was a good thing.
So currently, where do you have these encounters?
Well, I started, when I first started the Divine Dolphin, I was doing swimming with dolphins in Bimini and swimming with whales in Silverbank, Dominican Republic. And then, I ended up moving to Costa Rica, which had called to me my whole life, and I bought 10 acres of oceanfront rainforest property and built an eco lodge and founded a foundation. And so after a couple of years, I stopped doing the Bimini and Silver Banks trips to focus on, my Costa Rica trips where I was living. And I did that for 10 years. And then they made swimming with dolphins in Costa Rica illegal. And while it bummed me on some levels, on others I was happy about it because there was a lot of people out there chasing them around and not respecting their behaviors. And I actually got a scientific license to swim with them through my foundation, so I could, but, I couldn't let my guests in, so it felt kind of weird to go, excuse me, while I get in the water and not let them in, So I ended up closing my eco lodge because I really didn't enjoy running a hotel. It wasn't my thing, and it was doing really well, and everyone was really surprised when I did that. But, you got to follow your joy, and it was not bringing me joy. And so I did that, and the day I closed the eco lodge, what my plan was to create a marine research center on my property, doing something non-commercial, non-touristy thing. And I was kind of unsure because it was a big move to close my eco lodge, not knowing where income would come from. And so, as I always do, I asked for signs from the universe. And I went down to my beautiful beach on the point called Bliss Beach. And I said, if I'm meant to close the eco lodge and create the Marine Research Center, I see a humpback whale right now. I thought I'd really give them a good one, show me. And, there's humpback whales in the area, but it was actually the really low season, and they're rarely in the bay. And I was called to go to this one part of my beach, and I sit down and I look, and I see a blow right in the bay, right where there's rarely humpback whales. And I was like, okay, thank you, universe, for that amazing sign. So that's what I did. I closed the hotel. The last day was May 1st, 2007. My last guest left on a boat, and I waved them off. And another boat came in with a film crew to talk to me about the Marine Research Center. So that's, just kind of how my life goes, just flow into the next, what's next,
Okay.
And so then I lived out in Costa Rica kind of by myself on the property for almost a year. And then I really got a calling to come back to the States for a while, and be in society. And I just knew that there was work for me to do here. And now I've actually started once again to do the swimming with dolphins in Bimini and the humpback whales and silver banks, because there's nothing like that experience, and it brings me great joy to provide that for other people. It's life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
life-changing.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So you can find out all about that at divinedolphin.com. You can also just Google, all written together, I am Sierra, Sierra. You can also search that in YouTube, and you'll get links to all of her various works. And now we're going to move into part 2 of my interview, and you get to see and find out how multi-talented she is. And so real quickly, just to kind of recap, I'd like to know a little bit more about your foundation in Costa Rica. What's happening there?
The foundation is called Vida Marina, and over the years we did, on all our trips taking out guests, we did research as to how many dolphins and whales we'd see and where we saw them and their behaviors. So we've got 10 years of really good data showing what's going on out there and how incredibly rich the area is in cetaceans, in dolphins and whales, and sea turtles. We'd also count sea turtles. Not much is going on with the foundation at this moment because I'm not there. We have a few marine biologists working for us and volunteers, but it's all starting up again because now I'm working with a man named Philip Ketover, and he's going to be leasing part of my property and really creating the Marine Research Center that I always wanted to do. And he's in there with Jane Goodall and Scripps Institute, and he's really got a lot of interesting things going on. So, sometimes our dreams take a little longer than we thought, but it hasn't been that long. And it's going to, everything happens in divine timing, and the way this is unfolding is absolutely perfect. So all that is starting up again, but the foundation is Vida Marina.
Is there a website for that?
Yep, Vida Marina, one word, .org.
I'll have to check that one out.
Awesome.
I'm talking with Sierra Goodman, and lots of places to follow up on her work and passion. One is divinedolphin.com. The other is vidamarina.org. Then what we haven't gotten into talking about is Sierra's fabulous success in losing a lot of weight. So why don't you tell us that story?
Well, weight is something that I had struggled with all my life. I would go from being obese to thin to in between. I was always yo-yoing. I did the, famous yo-yo diet weight loss thing. And while I had learned about the laws of the universe, and I was really good at manifesting material things, I had not turned that on myself and using it for my own body. Your own body and your own issues are very personal to you. and it had never occurred to me to use the laws that I knew and used so well on my body, and it had always been a focus on weight loss and diet, and if you're focusing on weight loss, you're focusing on weight, and if you're focusing on diets, you're still focusing on weight, and it occurred to me that I wasn't focusing on what I wanted, and that was a thin body. I would focus it on a way that I couldn't have it. It would be like a dream. So what really turned it around is, and this actually is funny because it brings in the Dolphins, I slipped and fell in my bathroom in Costa Rica, and I hit my face really hard. I had a big black eye. And when things like that happen, I know I haven't been listening to the smaller messages, and so the universe gives me what I call a painful manifestation, and it's when I know that, I haven't been paying attention, and I hadn't been, I had become a pretty complacent and not really growing spiritually. I was just kind of living life day to day and not really growing, not really moving forward, and the day after I said, this is a message. I need to get out of here. I need a new point of view. So actually one of my very best friends in the world, I called her, and she had a dolphin trip going in a couple days in Bimini on the boat that I loved. And there was only 10 people on the trip, and I booked the flight, and 2 days after falling, I was in Bimini in the Bahamas, swimming with dolphins. And on this trip, I was laying down in my cabin during the day, which is really rare for me, but I had to go lay down. And I had the most lucid dream I've ever had, and that was this bottlenose dolphin came up to me and swam around me and then went about 50 feet away from me, and we stared at each other, and then he just came at me full force and hit me with his beak right in the heart. And it was so real. It was like so amazingly real, Kimberly. I was like, whoa. And I knew that it was a gift. I knew that it was an opening of the heart. I knew that I wasn't loving myself, and that was the gift that this dolphin had given me. And then I heard dolphins, which is the cry when we find dolphins. And so I got up and I said, if that was real, and I believe it was, I see that dolphin right now. And I got in the water, and sure enough, the bottlenose rarely swim with us in the Bahamas. It's usually the spotted. So, it was, like the seeing the humpback. It was like asking for the universe for a big sign. And he came right up to me. It looked right. I knew it was the one, and I actually got some really great pictures of him. And when I got home, I knew I wrote a letter to God like I like to do, and said, Dear God, please guide me to the right things, guide me to what can help me to do something about my body, because I saw a picture of myself from that trip, and I was just like, oh my God, like, I think a lot of overweight people are kind of disconnected from their body, and I didn't realize how big I was. I'm always me. I'm Sierra, and I don't see myself as other people see me, body-wise. And seeing that photo just, really shook me up and shook me into the action. And so in asking for the right things, it came to me, the law of attraction, what you use for everything else, what you use to manifest everything else, why aren't you using that on your body? And, it was a big aha moment for me. And so I started to do that. I stopped focusing on the weight, and I started to love myself as I was, because it's where I was, and that is a jumping off place to where you're going. So I started, I started becoming a thin person in my mind. I started to think thin thoughts. I started to do the things that I would put off until I got thin. I became it. And once I did that, it was all my body could do to catch up with me. I lost 170 pounds in a year.
Wow.
And that's without Jillian Michaels working me out for 6 hours a day. The weight just literally flew off me because I was already thin in my mind. and our bodies, our cells, our DNA, they're responding to our thoughts. They're listening to, what we tell them to do. So, like I said, I became thin and my body listened. And then, I really wanted, well, my ego didn't want to share this story with anybody because I look at the pictures of me and I'm like, do I really want people to see me like that? But I knew that it was really important to do because, here I was a woman in my 40s when most people think it's, all over for them and they can't do it. And I knew my story would give a lot of people hope and inspiration. So I was like, okay, so now I need to write a book. I need to, get this written down. And one day out on the water, it came to me an acronym for the word diet because, there's so many bad associations with diet. Right. And we think about, chewing on carrots and, suffering through. And really my book is more of a mind diet. And how it turned out is that the D stands for deservability and desires. First comes feeling worthy. And because without self-worth, you're not going to get very far. It's really easy to well, not so easy, but to do the willpower thing and like, I'm going to do this. But that, if you haven't dealt with the big issue, it's not going to work for very long. So the D, first becoming feeling deservable, that you're worthy, and getting really clear on your desires and writing them down. I'm very big on the power of the written word. I just, for me, I feel like that just sends it out to the universe. And writing out your desires as if you already have them, not in past or future tense, but I am thin, I am healthy, as they are now. So that was the D. And then the I stands for intuition and inner guidance. And that's a big part of this, too, is listening to that guidance and intuition that we all have. I mean, that's the bigger part of us. That is our connection to God or to source energy, that bigger part of us that we are. And we all have access to that. So, I teach people to get in touch with that inner guidance and to be guided on their path. Like I've said before, I never want to create the Sierra diet. Right. I want people to, to listen to their body and listen to the signs and messages and what comes to them. Like I was really attracted to green tea, and green tea has worked miracles for me. But I'm not going to tell everybody this is the miracle cure because it might or might not be for your body. Right. And that's what, we're in intuition and inner guidance and really starting to listen to that voice that's always there for everybody. And then the E, stands for emotions. And, how, food is tied to emotions and starving kids in Africa and love from your mom and feeling unworthy and really teaching people how their emotions are connected to their eating patterns. And also, a lot of overweight people stuff their emotions down with food. It's food or alcohol or cigarettes or, whatever your drug of choice is. I'm concentrating on food right now because that's the one I can relate to. But, what I'm talking about here relates to any issue. It's not just weight loss. Weight loss is kind of my in for people, but this applies to any issue in your life. Deservability, intuition, emotions, and then the last thing is thoughts, and changing your thoughts about your body and yourself, and becoming thin or healthy or in the relationship, doing that in your mind. It's really exercising the muscle of your brain more than exercise, which of course is important too. But it's becoming a deliberate creator, becoming deliberately focused on what you want. So that's kind of my book in a really small nutshell, the diet acronym. that I've created for other people to be able to do this too.
That works really well. And the title of, right now it's available in ebook on her website, Becoming Thin. And
Right.
you're working on getting it published?
Well, it started as a book, and I realized it was going to take me longer than I thought, and then I had a period of resistance again, of not wanting to be known as the formerly fat girl, because, I have an ego and all, but, I've gotten over that, and, but so many people were asking me for it. Is what I did is took out some key points of my book and made it into an ebook that stands alone on its own, so that I could get something out there for people. And that sells for $10 on my website. And along with that, I created a guided visualization, and actually I call it a RAP, a repetitive audio program. And it's a bunch of affirmations about body and self-worth and abundance and all that kind of fun stuff. With some music that has binaural beats in it, which makes it more effective. And I always recommend for people, to listen to it as much as possible, but especially at night when they're sleeping, because our conscious mind gets in the way of our subconscious mind, and we can have conscious beliefs, like you can be saying I am thin consciously, but your subconscious mind is going, no, you're not. You'll always be fat. You're a fatty. And you think of, your subconscious mind remembers the kids in grade school teasing you for being fat. So it's this constant battle between subconscious and conscious. And so, how you manifest things is get your subconscious and your conscious to be on the same page. So with listening to this at nighttime, it's very effective because your conscious mind has gone to sleep and your resistance is gone. And what's hearing it is your subconscious mind. So that makes it very effective.
Excellent. And how long is that meditation?
It lasts about 18 minutes.
Oh, okay.
There's about 9 minutes of me talking with background music, and then 9 minutes, after that I say, okay, now visualize yourself, now be the thin person that you are, think about how you would walk and talk and be and all of that. So it lasts 18 minutes total.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Sierra. Talking with Sierra and about various topics from dolphins to weight loss, but they're all related, and Gulf of Mexico. I want to make sure to mention her websites again, divinedolphin.com. We also have I am Sierra, all written out, which is her YouTube channel. You can also just Google or search on YouTube or Google I am Sierra. And the website is iam-iam-iam.com.
Yes.
Lots to remember there.
Yeah, it's a little hard to say it, but it looks good, and there's a lot of power in saying I am. So that's why I chose that.
All right. So real quickly, I wanted to know, you call yourself a life coach. Do you still, or are you doing one-on-one counseling with people?
I am a little bit, but I'm actually kind of phasing that out, because what I've found is that it takes a long time to work one-on-one, and I'd like to get to more people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a bigger way. And while I enjoy doing that, it's not that I don't enjoy doing it. I just feel like I want to do something bigger and more effective with my time than doing one-on-ones. And I'll occasionally do that. And, I've got a Facebook page called Becoming Thin, which, I answer people's questions there. And I try to give individual feedback as much as possible. But like with my book and the other work I'm doing, I'd like to reach more people and be a little more effective with my time.
Well, I think you're doing a fabulous job reaching people in multiple ways, and it was a pleasure finding you and the message from the dolphins and the whales, and even more of a pleasure to be able to have this opportunity to talk about it and share it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Kimberly. I really do. This is the kind of thing I want to do, and get outreach to many people at the same time. So, thank you for helping fulfill my inspired dream.
We're working on all this together, so we're connected.
Absolutely.
All right. Much love
are.
to you. Much love to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again.
And I think the easiest way to find Sierra's work is go to her YouTube channel, I am Sierra, I am Sierra. Just search I am Sierra, and that'll direct you to all of her other work. However, I will also mention DivineDolphin.com, where you can get information about her wild whale and dolphin encounters, and also Vita Marina. There you go. There you go.